Hello, hello. I am back to help you do this thing called life. We have been talking about Jesus, his temptations, his emotions, really just examining all the things that made him human, just like we are. So many times we forget because we focus on him being the Savior, and that he was. However, what made everything so much more, I guess, so much greater for us is the fact that he walked out life as a human so that really our excuses could be removed. And so we are getting closer and closer and closer to the cross. And today we find ourselves at, we're in Mark 15. And I want you to read verses 1 through 20. And a lot goes on in there, but there are a few things that I would like to pull out. And some of it is really almost like a continuation of what we said from the last chapter, because this is when Jesus was taken before Pilate, and he was being examined. And what we talked about a day or so ago was how he just really didn't say anything. It's kind of like he had pushed his mute button and did not say much at all. And he definitely did not answer to the lies. And then when he was asked, are you the king of the Jews? He said, yes. So today, he's one of the things that I noted is that he still did not have a lot to say. He was quiet. Um, when they asked him a question, he said, like, you said it. And kind of that was it. Pilate was in favor of letting him go, because Pilate saw that, like, there was nothing that Jesus, nobody had anything on him. They couldn't prove anything. But Jesus did not try to defend himself. He knew that this was what had to happen. Once he settled it in the garden, he knew that everything else that came into play had to take place. And so, there are a couple of things. One of the things is we need to find our garden of Gethsemane, where we can really just settle it, where we can settle, where we know that we know that we know what it is that God has said. I'm holding this because I can't, y'all, my phone can't fall, okay? And there's wind is blowing. But there's a place where we just have to settle it and know that whatever God's will is for our lives, whatever it is, because there are some things we are going to have to go through in order to get to. And so once God has told us, once we settle ourselves on what he said, once we realize that we have to go through some things, and it's not something we would want, but that it's mandatory in order to receive the blessing, then we've got to settle. We've got to settle ourselves. And then the other thing is just being quiet. And the thing is, Jesus was a man, right? So, y'all, they were spitting. Ooh, ooh. I'm not like a fighter in the natural, but if anybody ever, oh my God, they were spitting on him, plucking out his beard. They were punching him. I mean, he could have done whatever, y'all. Even if it wasn't for the angels coming down. As a man, he could have retaliated. He was quiet. He was still. He accepted this because he knew this was going to get him to that. Take some time with God and see if he tells you what your this is. And if you don't have the specifics, just know that it may get very uncomfortable. It may be, because Pilate would have let him off the hook, but they preferred Barabbas, who they knew was a murderer. They preferred to let him go rather than to let Jesus go. He didn't fight it. He didn't fight it. It was like in that garden when he said, can this cup pass? Okay, nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. He stayed there. We got to find our nevertheless. We got to be satisfied, not with our will, but what He wants, what God's will is for our lives. And when we do that, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but Jesus Christ has demonstrated that it is possible. It's very possible. So, we'll be back. It's been One More Minute with Marcy. We'll be back tomorrow with another moment of momentum producing motivation. Until then, stay encouraged. And remember, you got to flutter before you can fly. But flying is in your future. I love y'all.